I believe in, so the first thing that I don't believe in my general concept, what? So I have a few answers to what do I believe in. The first is the answer that I have in my Facebook page, which is that I am a dentist, in that I believe in the philosophy and teachings of Arthur Dent, the protagonist character, or one of the main protagonists in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And what I mean by that, I mean the joke. I think it's a funny joke. I like the joke. I like to respond with belief, with humor. But also I like the whole Arthur Dent character. I've read a few of his books, and I certainly have considered and thought about him many times over the years. And what I like is his amiable motion through life. I like that he, although the world is bizarre and absurd, he always takes his circumstance into the highest consideration and uses that for his judgment. So he on the situation of the world seeming bizarre and crazy, he takes the world as presenting itself plainly as bizarre and crazy and preserves his own sort of self and center within that. And I quite like that. I like that that part of the explanation of the two things that are wild and crazy. The one that I know is me, which makes me normal. And then I can, then I just love the positionality on naivety and the embracing of naivety, not as a failure to meet the moment, but as an innocent position to be in, of which the greatest value is the knowledge of that position, right? So if you know yourself naive, then that is empowering somehow. And then the second answer is that I just struggle with the word belief entirely. I don't think I believe in anything at all, actually. I in my mind, the way that I frame and reference the world is not one through belief. It is one through a kind of assurance-based track record. I just sort of, I always, if somebody says, do you believe in that? I really struggle to answer yes, almost no matter what it is. As plain and as real as it is. Partly because the word word belief for me feels strongly, my definition of the word belief is just an unsubstantiated thought, right? You have substantiated thoughts and unsubstantiated thoughts. And the unsubstantiated thoughts are the ones that you want to continue to consider to be true without needing to have, a rational substantiation, like a reason for continuing to maintain that thought. And that I think of as a belief. And then the other one is substantiated thoughts, which I would think of as like a reason. Now, it's not to say that the world is only reason, or to presume that all value comes from confirmed knowledge. I don't think that at all. I'm obviously an avid speculator and am very ready to consider things far beyond their reasonability. And I think that what allows me to do this, what is the most empowering to that aim, is a lack of reliance on belief. As long as I don't, what do I think of as my reality? I definitely consider there to be reality and there to be realness and real things. Do I believe in them as real? I don't think so, because I think I just don't maintain an absolute within it. I just consider that it may be true. I mean, it's no other way to say it really, other than that I somehow don't use belief structurally in my understanding of the world, and that has been empowering. So I don't really believe in anything is the second answer, and I struggle with that because there's people find your beliefs to be a very essential way of decoding you and thereby understanding and creating a comfort for themselves, a frame of comfort around you. So that one's a challenge. It's difficult to not believe in anything, but nevertheless, I find a lot of utility in it. And then the third one is that I also feel that I don't really believe, so to speak, in a kind of total non-ness. I think that I know of my own experiences, and I know of my own experiences through time, and I can see that those experiences, by all duty and reason, seem to track to other people's experiences, or at least correlate. So I know that there's something like causality. I know that for whatever is my own experience, there exists within that some space which is real, at least to the service of the idea itself, of the experience itself. So by experiencing, maybe that's, I think, therefore I am. By experiencing something, that anything that I know to be real would somehow exist within that experience, just by the nature of that experience being the wholeness of my knowledge, of my information. And from that, and then I can see these other people who are agent and moving, and for which I end up with these enormous bouts of empathy. And so I feel in some way that's not, I can't just absolve that all as meaninglessness. And so I am unsettled by not believing in anything, which is where I come to my third, which is that I think I choose what I believe, or not choose what I believe, but I influence. Belief functionality has a real useful role, and I can still engage with that by ascribing my own beliefs, and where I get my own beliefs, I guess, if I call them beliefs, but maybe I even just think of them as tenets, a tenet of thought or something. Again, like an unsubstantiated thought, like a placeholder that is my best guess, but will hold this space as a non-confirmed idea, so I don't have to believe it. I just have to trust its consistency in behavior. Then if I use that as a tool, then I can ascribe my own beliefs, and so on the burden of having to come up with my own beliefs in order to fill in the places of that tool to be able to use it effectively. I get a lot of use out of just straight up human dignity. So then when I pause and look back at the world, having found no belief that I can hold on to, and I look back at the world and try to reflect on what is either its own asserted value, so the world claims an aim, and then I go and try to align with that aim and work towards it, or I suppose a goal onto the world. But in either case, the one that seems to fit with both, and that I can at least settle on as a reasonable set of let's say, utility beliefs, not complete beliefs, but beliefs I can, but thoughts that I can use in the belief frame, so that I can continue to engage and interact with people who maintain belief. Is basically fundamental human dignity. That's where I've come to. Is that in my experience of traveling all around the world and working in all these crazy places, and having different. My privilege is that I've gotten to meet a lot of different people from a lot of different continents, and the experiences that they've shared to me brings me to that rounding conclusion, which is either the most useful utility belief is one of fundamental human dignity, or on a void space of non-belief, the one that makes the most sense to me to supplant into our system is one of fundamental human dignity. And what I mean by that is that it is not that if I treat people as though there is something universally and inherently valuable about them, then almost all of my formulas start to work. And if I don't do that, then I struggle. And so, confounded by my constant and extremely reliable conclusion that beliefs are not appropriate for me, I find that if I artificially supply into that this other, more observed character of humanity, which is that that if you treat people as fundamental units of dignity, then that causes the most consistent harmony. That's where people are able to interact the most efficiently and the most cleanly, and thereby dedicate and devote the majority of their effort and interest towards a positive collective outcome. So I find, so basically, if I take the world as it presents itself to me, and one of the ways that it presents itself to me is this enormous utility component of belief, and if I supply that belief structure just with the notion that people are including me, are a fundamental unit of dignity, then I get a lot of meaning out of that. I find that very useful. I find that a super helpful guide for me in the world on how to engage with other people, is just to consider them to be a fundamental unit of dignity.